self-care is a word that's thrown around a lot. In one of my posts, I'm like, I heard someone say, one of my mentors who I mean, he is a brilliant, brilliant man. And I listened to almost all of his advice. And he said, self-care is not about a bath and a glass of wine. I'm like, I call bullshit on that, because you don't know, first of all, what I need. And second of all, you don't have kids. So don't tell me what to do. That's my go-to. No, I mean, he's got great advice and he's created so many amazing things in his life, and that's great. And he's entitled to his opinion. But sometimes, self-care looks like something different to every person, and depending on the day and the time and what you've done. And I was thinking, okay, so let's look at words. I love the thesaurus. What are other words for care? Self-care. How can we get the tools that we need to accomplish what we really want to accomplish for the next 10, 20, 30 years? I want to be at my great grandchildren's weddings. I want to tackle my toddler grandchildren, and I want to help Leah with her kids and Brandon with his kids. And I want to be active, and I want to be alive. I want to be playful. I don't want to be one of those distant people that are kind of sitting on the the couch while their kids are doing the playing, and they want to spend time with you, and they want to spend time. Well, what do I need to do today? One little tiny thing to get me to where I want to go. So I was thinking, oh, here's some words for care. Responsibility. Ooh, that's a good one. If you haven't read Extreme Ownership, I highly recommend it. There is how about self-protection? Protecting your own heart from everything that's going to come at you all day long. I love Jay Shetty, and you haven't read his book, Think Like a Monk. He says that your morning routine is putting on your armor for the day, because some days really are like a battle. And if you've done what you need for yourself first, then anything that comes at you is a lot easier. It's a lot. I've done what I need to do. I've got my mind straight and my home straight. Care. Another word for care is supervision. Another word is trust. Also management. I thought that was interesting, because I've been in management for 20 years. And when you manage other people, you're actually helping them. You're giving them tools. Well, what are the tools that we need to accomplish what we really want to accomplish? And then sometimes, we can't really find our purpose or our why right away. I'm not really sure exactly what's going to help me, put a priority on my environment and my home and really creating harmony in my life. Because when I was a single mom and the kids were little, I'm like, I don't have time for that. Yeah, sure. Self-care smells fair. What does that even mean? I don't have time for that. I need to be a slave to my kids and a martyr, and I need to be everything that they need to be for 24/7, no matter what. I don't care if I'm tired. I don't care if I'm hungry. It doesn't matter. My needs don't matter. Not because I'm saying, oh, I'm so great. It's because I had it wrong. And that didn't lead me to be a good mother. That didn't help me, give me the tools to help them and to actually be there for them, the 100% version of me. So if we're constantly the 25%, we're always running on empty, we never, get gas, then how are we going to accomplish what we want to accomplish? So if you don't have kids and that's not your primary function, or you're running a business, or you really have this business that you want to start, or a book that you want to write, you are the one that knows what it is you really want to accomplish and you want to create in your life. And so sometimes maybe the opposite is more of a motivational factor. So what's the opposite of care? What happens if we don't actually give ourselves the fuel and the tools? How about, there was a really good one. Where is it? Burden. How about if we don't, we're a burden on other people? How about nuisance? How about anxiety? Who's ever felt anxiety? That's my overall, my primal, emotion is worry. I freaking worry about everything. And so I have to give myself the tools to not worry. How about, what was the other one? Discomposure. Oh, that's something that sounds nice. If you don't take care and you create your own harmony from within, which obviously it all starts in the mirror, how about you attract more discomposure into your life? That sounds fun. Oppression, depression, anxiety, affliction. How many afflictions do we actually cause ourselves? Almost all of them. Anguish, annoyance. How often do we get annoyed because we haven't centered ourselves? We hadn't taken care of ourselves. We rushed out the door. We can't find our keys. We're the ones that have caused that stress. And we're causing all kinds of little stresses that we don't even realize it. I love it. Nurtured. I love that as far as synonyms. Caring is nurturing yourself, just like you would for your own child. So I had to tell a story about, speaking of the end of your life. When I was about 10 years ago, I was singing for a group in Tucson that was a professional choir, and they would give us people would offer their homes for us to stay in while we're down there. We do rehearsals every day and we do our concerts. And I stayed with this older lady. She was about 85 and I can't even remember her name. Hi, Jenny. Thanks so much. So glad you're here. Sorry, I just admitted another person. And so I knocked on her house. So funny. I knew it was going to be late because we have rehearsals. So the first time I was coming to her house, it was like 9:30 at night or 10 o'clock at night. And I knocked on her door and she didn't answer, and knocked on her door again. I was like, oh, what am I going to do? It's 10 o'clock at night. What if she doesn't answer? I don't have anywhere to stay. And so I called her phone and she had fallen asleep on the couch. And she was supposed to be letting me in. She was just so adorable, huge glasses this big and this tiny home. And so she comes in, she's got this whole cheese plate for me and a glass of wine. And she was just the most darling person. I was going to be staying with her for a couple of days. And so I was getting to know her, and she told me, she said, yeah, I was married to my sweetheart for 65 years. I can't tell the story without crying. And he died, and he had cancer. So he said the last, couple months of his life, I moved him back to our living room, and I put up his hospital bed. We set everything up for him, and I set up the TV and our projector. And every day we would say, okay, where do you want to go today? And they would pull out their slides. They had those little slides like Dad had. Can't remember what they're called. And they go through the little thing with the round projector, and it goes click, and it drops in and the click, and they would go, okay, so today let's go to Italy. And then they would look at all of their photos from each trip in each part of the world. And because in 65 years, they created so many memories together. And so their last weeks together, they wanted to relive all of those moments again, one more time before he left her. And I just thought, I thought that was the most amazing thing I ever heard. She's like, I started to cry, and she's like, oh, you're so sensitive. I'm like, how can you not cry hearing that story? That's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And I've ever heard. And I think about that. Things that is the thing to me that will matter the most when our body is giving out, which it will, and you never know when it's going to be. But, creating that harmony and that peace and that self-preservations and that nourishment and those tools that we can, so we can get there. And what little teeny tiny thing can we do today? Because in order to have beautiful memories and travel, then you need to have a certain amount of savings and a certain amount of you have to work hard or work at some point. Hard, I guess that's a relative term. And you have to have your health. You have to have, one thing I can do today to get there when I'm 90 is, have my green smoothie. And I know how I feel when I get out of that habit. And that's why I love the really, that saying that we don't create our habits, our habits create us. Our habits make us who we are. And so our home specifically, if you've read my book, and if you haven't, that's okay. But I talk about how my house was just like a daycare. It was a complete disaster. And I thought I didn't mind because I wanted my house to be a room to create and play. And especially living in Arizona, because it's so hot. So 6 months out of the year, if you don't get up at 5 o'clock, you're not going outside unless you're getting in a pool. We didn't have a pool. So, I really wanted it to, my kids used to, get every blanket in my house and completely ruin it with duct tape, tying it around the banister like I have before me, and one side to this side and this side to this side, and make a hammock. Well, it wasn't just one, it was like 17 hammocks all the way down. And then underneath it would have all of the mattresses from every bed would be on the stairs. And so you slide down or you can lay in the hammock. And so I'm trying to get out of there and go to a meeting. I've got my heels, my suit, my briefcase, and I'm like trying to duck underneath the hammock, slide down, not get the mattress with my heel. And I thought, that's what I want. I want them to have a place to play everywhere. But, actually leaving and trying to create that harmony and that peace and that things that I needed to do to get my work done so I could put food on the table. I realized that I don't actually feel amazing. I think I could change a few things to make a more peaceful situation for mom. And I really think that that's really important. So, I talk about just a little bit more order, because disorder and disarray attracts more disorder and disarray into your life, and a little bit more stress that we don't even realize we're causing. So it's frustrating for me to be in a hurry and to try to navigate 15 hammocks and 17 mattresses. Well, okay, we can have playtime and then we can kind of put that aside so mom can go to work. Maybe we have that for the weekend, and then maybe like Monday we get the mattresses out of the way so I can walk up the stairs. I remember one time my friend kind of stopped by unannounced, and I was dying because it is sometimes we don't even notice. That's why I like to have people over, because I start being hyper aware of things that are around me that I'd really like to change, just little teeny things, this pile of whatever, I could just organize it and get rid of it and I could feel better. But she stopped by and I was looking around me, and literally the couch had no cushions on it. It never did. It was a fort or a playground of some sort, or some kind of race car track for Hot Wheels. And we couldn't even walk. I had to step over all of the kids' toys to get to the couch that had no cushions on. And it's like one of those fold out couches. So underneath it is like that mattress that folds out. And I had to sit on the fold out part couch that had no cushions on it. And I was like, this is stressing me out. Just to have, I can't even sit in my own couch, to enjoy and have a conversation with my good friend who stopped by. And it's those little things that help us go, I can actually prepare my own place to sit. I can have my own peace by just slowly but surely going through one little corner at a time, one drawer at a time. And we were just laughing about how both of my kids are total hoarders. And so whenever they would go, whenever their dad would be in town for, they would go for a couple of days, I would always go through all their stuff and throw it away when they weren't home. They're like, hey, come back. Where's that doll? Where's that thing? I don't know. You must have lost it, So yeah, that's good. Teach your kids to lie and be deceitful and throw all of your stuff away when you're not here. I'm always winning, totally winning. But, I was thinking about habits and those little tiny things where, my granny said that everything has one place. And I thought that was nuts at the time. I was only a little girl, but in actuality, my granny's house was my favorite place to be. And I'm not kidding when I say she made 100 dozens of cookies. She literally did. I mean, cans, she put them in big cans, like coffee cans. And there was a whole, cupboards full of coffee cans, and probably every can probably had, 4 dozen, 5 dozen each. And so you eat a chocolate chip cookie every time you pass that cupboard, 87 times a day. But it was so calm. It was so orderly. It was so clean, and it was so relaxing, and it was so fun. And I'll never forget that feeling, but you can create that feeling by doing one little thing at a time, and that doing everything just has one place. And that means every time you use it, you put it in that one place. There is no, I don't know where something is. Brandon, my son, sent me a meme the other day, said it's not lost unless mom can't find it. It's totally true. They all know it. I'm like, just give me a second. But I have learned that over the years, putting crap back where you don't get it originally, you're not going to be able to find it. So you're creating your own stress, and you can't eliminate all stress, but you can eliminate a lot of it by doing that one thing. I was thinking about mind, body, and how they're totally related. You do one thing that's good for your mind, like always putting your keys in one place. Well, you're actually not only taking away the stress of not being able to find something and being frustrated and being late and all those things and rushing out the door, and then 99 times out of 100 there's going to be every granny from Minnesota in your way, turning left in front of you from the right hand. Every time that happens, every time you can't find something, that's going to happen when you get on the road, right? Every time. And so not only are we removing our own, friction and frustration by just having one thing for each one place for each thing, we're also strengthening our mind. So we're actually giving ourselves the tools to have that calmness, have those conversations that really help our kids, have that peace of mind where we can accomplish that meeting. We can accomplish that class. We can, if you want to get a degree, what can you do right now for your mind and your body to get that goal? That's why I love goals and making small, tiny, teeny, itty bitty steps towards them. Once I have that in mind, I'm not going to do it tomorrow. I'm just going to make one step today that you can get a little bit closer. I talk about Reed and Sabrina a lot because I'm in awe of them, really. I mean, they've been married. They're high school sweethearts, and they're my good friends. I've known them 25 years. They've been married 40-ish, right? I mean, he said he was 55, so really close to 40 years. And they work together. They run a business together. They literally share the same office, and they go to lunch every single day. And, he, to me, I feel like he's just wired. He's one of those people that are really annoying. You always roll out of bed at 5, you jump out of bed at 5 o'clock, and he always goes and works out every single day. He always, watches only one of the episodes of your favorite show on Netflix. He never actually watches the second one and then stays up too late. He always goes to bed at 9. He never has more than 2 glasses of wine. It's like, he's just wired for success. I always thought that people are just wired that way, and I'm just not. Why does somebody have so much discipline and I don't? And what I realized over time is that it's easy for him because it's a habit. It's not easy to get up before the sun comes up and go exercise. I don't do it because I want to. I want to sleep. I'm lazy. I don't want to go to the gym. But I know how much my life sucks if I don't. So when the gyms shut down, it was March 15th. So I did this whole 75 hard program, 75 days. You choose a diet, you stick with it. You have to do 2 workouts a day. It's a freaking awesome program for discipline. I need more, discipline in my life, because if I discipline myself, everything works better. I have more calm, more peace, more tranquility, more harmony. And so the day I finished was the first day the gyms were all closed down. And I made all of the excuses in the whole world about how I couldn't work out at home. I focused on what could happen. It's going to be 2008 all over again. I've already been through bankruptcy. I'm going to have to do it again. I'm going to go out of business. We're going to go out of business. The car dealership's going to shut down. All of these horrible things. So I was focusing on all of the things I can't control. And then I get on Instagram and I'm watching every single, conspiracy theory video known to man, and the world's going to end. And I just froze. I got out of all of my good habits. I didn't drink green smoothies. I didn't work out. I didn't exercise. I wasn't reading. And I really saw the difference. And it's a stark contrast to when I just have a couple good habits and when I don't. And when I don't, everything slides down. You think, oh, well, it's okay. I could miss a couple weeks of workouts, which you can. That's no big deal. But 2.5 months you'll see the big difference in my thinking, my ability to think clearly, my ability to be a good example to my kids, my ability to to have any energy. I don't have any energy. And I realized, Reed is not born. No one's born wanting to jump out of the bed at 5 o'clock and go into the gym. He just made it a habit. And what I realized from 75 days, 30 was really hard. The 40th day was really hard. The 45th day, 50th days was really hard. And I didn't want to, but I made myself. And I, because I had a buddy, if I was doing it myself, I probably wouldn't have finished all 75 days, but my husband was doing it with me. So, I realized that by 60 or 70, it just did become like I just kind of get it. I just swing my legs over. I'm a little tired, but not that tired because, I go to bed early. And a lot of the things that we can accomplish today have to do with what we did the day before. And when it is a habit, then it does become more of an instinct. People call it being in the zone. People call it getting in the flow. The reason why Michael Jordan was the best basketball player on the whole planet is because that he repeated his actions more than anybody else. And I'm reading the book by Tim Grover because he was one of his coaches. And he said he was one of the people that you'd have to tell to stop. Most of us are like, okay, so I got to do 15 reps. All right, great. I'm 14. I'm like, 14 is good enough, right? Michael would do 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, be like, stop, and he'd say, I'll meet you at the gym at 4:30. Michael would be there at 3. And he's like, dude, you need to rest. And so the people that are the most successful in any area, this is just basketball, but it applies to everything. When it just became a habit that he doesn't think about free throws. When he's out there, he doesn't have to think, okay, now I'm going to put my elbow in or whatever. I don't even know how to play basketball, so I don't even know what I'm saying. But whatever it is, they say when they learn how to play basketball and shoot, something about the wrist, something about the elbow, I don't know. But he doesn't think about that. He's already done it, probably tens of millions, probably hundreds of millions of times, in 40 years. So you get to that part that where it is not something I struggle with, think about, I don't wonder if I'm going to, then you just actually do it. That's when it's an automatic. You don't think, you actually do. And then when you do that one thing, that permeates to every single thing else in your life, that self-care, that nourishment, that tool is like, okay, I got that done. I'm good. I can think clearly. I can help my kids. I can get through the day. I can help my clients and whatever, all the stuff that comes at us every day. And that's why I was thinking about, habits make us, they actually create us. And that quote, even it's been accredited to Plato and Aristotle. And then I put it in my Love Playbook, my Create Love Today journal. And when I sent it to the editor, she accredited it to somebody else, but it says, excellence, we are what we repeatedly do. So excellence then is not an act, it's just a habit. Excellence is a habit. And I never really grasped what that meant. I want to be excellent. Well, what does that mean? What do excellent people do? It's the habits that they have. That literally is what makes Reed excellent. He will not fail. And so that's not just his job, his business. But yeah, he's ridiculous at that. But he will not fail at marriage. He will not. So he didn't go to lunch with his wife every day for 10 years. He didn't go to lunch with his wife every day for 20 years. He didn't go to lunch with his wife for a few weeks. He didn't go to his lunch with his wife every day for 30 years. He goes to his lunch with his wife every day. That's the habit. That's the rule. You don't break it. And it's not like, oh, you do it for the first 5 years. Like Tony Robbins says, just do everything that you did at the beginning of your relationship and there will be no end. And we don't. And we don't do the same things that we did in the first, year we were together. Reed and Sabrina do. So for me, I want what Reed and Sabrina have. They do exactly the same things that they have. And every day, it's just a habit. They don't think about it. Where are we eating today? And that's what my granny and pa did. And I always looked at them. I didn't know it at the time, but I always looked at them and I just, man, you're crushing it at this relationship gig, right? They adored each other so much. My sisters are going like this because they know. I mean, holding hands on the couch with Lawrence Welk at 7,000 decibels. I mean, 50, 60 years in. How many years are they married? I don't know. I don't know the number. A lot. 50 something. She was 88, probably 60 years. And what does it take to get there?
It was 67. It was 67.
7 years. Isn't that amazing?
Sam told me that when he was laying there after Pearl died, he started to cry and said 67 wasn't long enough. Mm. He didn't last very long after that.
He literally died of a broken heart. There was nothing wrong with him. He was like 99 and fine. Gosh, isn't that amazing? I don't know. I think about him. So I think about his mind and body and his relationships. He crushed all of it. He's crushing it at business. He's the kindest, funniest. He was always joking. He's always making us laugh. He made her laugh. He honored her and cherished her in every way you can honor and cherish a person. He loved her and did anything that she needed to help her, and she him. And they did everything together. And every day he came home at lunch. He'd go out to work. He owned like 4 or 5 businesses at a time, at all times. And he'd come home, have lunch with his wife, take a nap, go back to work. So I don't know. I think I should have just called my book, Just Do What Granny and Pa Did, and you'll be fine. So that's all we need to do. That's it. That's what I want. And so, and we all have something out in our dreams and our goals that we really want to accomplish. And they don't need to make sense to anybody else. I don't care if anybody thinks that's weird or crazy, and it don't need to make sense to anyone. We have a mission, we have a goal, we have a purpose, we have something we really want to accomplish. And it's a relationship goal. Well, like Tony Robbins also says, success leaves clues. Success is not just financial success, relationship success. What do those people do? It's taking actions. Those actions change your mind. Taking action, that's quote, quote, help your body. Everything's connected. And when you change one little corner of your house that's a mess, and you bring order to it and you make it beautiful, you are creating that oneness and that connection with what helps you feel joy. And I wanted to show my rose quartz because something I love. I forgot I thought about that this morning. Okay. This is called rose quartz. And if you're not really into crystals and you don't do any research, or you never really heard of, crystals, you would say, well, that's stupid. Why would you spend $100 on a round pink thing, round pink ball? That's dumb, right? Well, do crystals really have power? Do crystals actually hold energy? Depends on who you ask. Well, I believe they do. And I read that rose quartz helps you attract joy and love. It's for love. So some people, this is stupid. Some people, this is a waste of $100. And to me, this brings me joy. I love looking at this sphere of love and goodness. And I want to attract more love into my life and more joy and more peace. And so beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And I love this. And if there's things that in your house that you look at and you say, that causes me stress, and I really don't like that anymore, or that's energy from the past, or that belonged to an ex-teacher, you need to remove it and get it out of your house and put those things in. It's the same thing as art. I mean, some people pay $50 million for a piece of scribble. And I'm like, it's so crazy to me. But it's the same thing. We all have that piece of art that's worth $50 million, whatever it is. Some people, it could be a signed basketball by Michael Jordan. Some people's sports is really important. That brings them joy, and whatever it cost, it was worth it to them. And so everything I think matters. My big rose quartz matters to me. And I don't care if anybody thinks it's stupid, because it brings me joy. And so if things around you don't bring you joy, and when you open the closet door and you see a bunch of mess and stuff on the ground, there's shit all over the shelves, it's not organized. If opening that door makes you go, ugh, well, the best thing you can do for yourself is just creating order, putting it in order. It takes 10 minutes, even if it's 10 minutes every Saturday. It doesn't even have to be all at once. So I found that every Saturday or every morning I would do one little thing, take 5 minutes, look at a drawer. Oh, this drawer makes me sick to my stomach. So I'm going to close it now. And then I'm going to schedule that. I'm going to put that drawer in order. And then little by little, teeny by teeny, it's a beautiful thing what you can create in order it and enjoy in your life by doing little teeny things. What's also funny about Reed and Sabrina is they went through bankruptcy when all of us did. I think everyone I know went through bankruptcy because we're all in sales and marketing and cars. No, the car dealers didn't. But I remember talking about it, and I reminded him a couple weeks ago when I saw him. He said, I reminded him that he said to me, he goes, "Yeah, we're doing the same thing. There's just more zeros." Their bankruptcy had a lot more zeros than mine did. And it allowed them to restructure their entire company, get rid of all the people that didn't even work, and they're just on the payroll because they were family members. So it's amazing where, sometimes like the biggest breakthrough is preceded by a breakdown. And that is from Elizabeth Lesser's book called Broken Open. Because when your heart is broken, it's broken open for you to learn and have that opportunity to grow. And I love that. Anybody who hasn't read Broken Open, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book. And if anybody has anything to add, always jump in. I do want to hear from you. I don't want to just sit here and talk the whole time. So please just unmute yourself and go anytime. So one of my strategies that's really helped me a lot is to, like I said, make the big dream is to create memories and great relationships and be a good example, be a good mother. Okay. How do I do that? We have examples. Success leaves clues. We have examples in our mind. And if we take note and make a list of those people that have created that, what actions do they take? Because taking action changes our mind. And one little step toward that, what is one thing I can do today to get me one step closer in that direction? If I want to create memories, I can't be stressed out and I can't be overwhelmed. So what can I do to help me, nurture me, give me that one thing that'll help me be calm so I can create memories? I'm not going to wish at the end of my life that I yelled at my kids more. And I'm not going to wish that in my life that I had, more in my bank account, or that I worked more and missed their concerts and their games. And we all need to miss some stuff every once in a while, everybody, and that's fine. It's just at the end of my life, I'm going to wish that I was more calm and more peaceful so that I could relax, so I could have that conversations. The other night, 15 has been really tough for my daughter. And I'm not sure if that's a special number or what, but whew, man, it's been one crisis after another. During this year, especially, she can't see her friends and, the lockdown and all that. But the other day, it was fall break. So it was just last month. And she called me from the other side of the house. I don't know. We always call each other, which is good because I didn't like yelling in the house. So now that we all have phones, it's great. So she called me and she was really mad because I wouldn't let her go to her friend's house. It was already, late at night or whatever. And she was mad at me and she, said something super rude and hung up. And I was so over it. I was so tired of listening to the crying, listening to the complaining, listening to this, and I can't do this. And I mean, literally every night was a meltdown during the first lockdown, which you couldn't see anybody. I was so tired. I just don't, everybody gets to that place. I want to time out. Can I just be done now, at 9 o'clock? Reed also said, he's hilarious. We keep talking about Reed, but he's awesome. And Sabrina, his wife, she said the kids raising kids, they always seem to have crisis at 9 o'clock at night. It's like, we need to have a family meeting. We're having a crisis. And he's like, can we have a crisis in the morning, like at 6 a.m.? Oh my gosh. I'm exactly like that. I totally shut down. I can't deal. And I could have just shut down, shut my door, turned, said goodnight. And I went in to say goodnight. I'm like, just pull yourself together. She's a teenager. Which one of us is the adult? Which one is the child? So I know what I want. I want to be done with the crises. I want to be done with the emergencies. I want to be done with the temper tantrums every day. And I went into her room, and she was literally hyperventilating, crying so hard. And I was like, okay, all right. This is not just her being a bitch to me and hanging up on me. This is a problem. This is a problem. We need to work through something, even though I want to go to bed. I'm so tired of it. I don't want to deal with this anymore. And so I sat down. I don't want to go to my dad's house. I can't see any of my friends. My whole spring break is ruined, or fall break. This girl's out of town. This girl's grounded. This girl is this girl is that. All of her plans are ruined. And I don't remember, but that must have been really super important when we were 15, I guess. But I don't know what happens. We get older, and I don't remember exactly what it was like to do that. I don't really remember screaming and crying in my bedroom. I guess I did. I think I did. I don't know. I don't remember that. And so I just had to sit and take a deep breath, and I listened to all of it. And I just started to cry with her. And things seem like such a big deal when we are not centered and we are not cared for. And so what is it that we need to give ourselves to help the people that we love and show up for them when we don't want to? And that's why moving your body, and that's why your nutrition, getting some spinach in. I mean, who likes eating spinach? Throw it in a blender. And so that you have the vitamins and you have the energy and the compassion when you don't feel like it, you want to be done. And I helped her work through it, and I helped her calm down. I mean, how is she going to learn how to calm down herself? If I just say, you're being dramatic, you're just a 15-year-old psychopath, just go to bed. Sometimes when I was done, I was like, if you guys are throwing a temper tantrum when they're younger, if you can't deal, go to your room. My sister laughed at me for saying that. I was like, well, it sounds good. If you can't deal with life, well, go sit in your room for a second, regroup, come back out, right? That was really for me. But I had to put myself in a timeout and regroup. And in doing that, I was able to really strengthen my relationship. What's my long-term goal? Strengthen relationships, create memories, give her the tools that she's going to need, because this crap of anxiety, depression, fear, your plans are always going to get screwed up. Everything you plan is never going to work out how you are. Well, how is she going to do that when she's 18 and she's not here? If I don't sit down, calm down, and talk her through it. Who's going to teach her? Another 15-year-old kid? No, thank you. So I was able to create a beautiful moment. And I love that these things that come at us is our opportunity to create a beautiful moment. If there's one thing that we can do to make this moment beautiful, and we apply that to every moment, apply that to everything where we are. What can I do to make this one moment beautiful? It was funny. I was listening to Jim Quick's book right now. It's called Limitless. It's really good. He said he got to go on the set of one of the movies that Will Smith was doing. I think it was the one that he had the superpowers and he was that Superman type guy. And he was on the set with them, and it was raining and cold and miserable. And, they shoot these nighttime scenes. Well, that means you have to be up from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., 2 weeks in a row. So you have to, these are, like this long hours, and it's very arduous. It's not like super glamorous to actually shoot the movies. It's only the rest of their life seems glamorous, whether it is or not. I doubt it. So the actual, shooting. And so he said, what can I do? He said, what can I make this one moment better? And everybody was cold and tired and freezing their butts off, waiting for like the certain circumstance and the whatever rain to stop or whatever it is. And he went and got everybody hot cocoa. And I thought, oh my gosh, That's so genius. Every moment that goes by, what can I do? What's one thing that I can do to make it better? And so in that moment, I could take a deep breath and talk her through it. And then in another moment, and when it's 4 o'clock in the morning and I don't want to get up, what can I do in this moment to make it better? Throw my legs over, you know, because as soon as you get to that habit, then you don't have to think. You don't think, you just do. The habit of whatever it is that's going to get you to that thing way in the future that you really want. It just happens one day at a time. So at the beginning of the year, I did my one goal is to be in just healthy, have a healthy body, just because I want a healthy mind. Well, what do you have to do to have a healthy mind? Read new books and learn new things. So we had a goal, 12-month goal, to read 12 books. So I thought 1 book a month, I can totally do that. Richard Branson said, if your dreams if your dreams don't scare you, then they're not big enough. Well, I disagree. I think they have to be in your mind. I can accomplish that. That's a big goal. 1 book a month. That's big for me. That's a lot more than I read the year before. So I want to learn. That's attainable to me, I think, in 12 months, because if I said 947 books, I'd be like, I'm never going to do that. So why even bother? You know, what am I going to do? Read 4 books a day? Well, I have another friend who reads a book a week. She's already up to 52. Well, that's great for her. And she knows she can do it. And that's awesome. She's doing it. So I thought, okay, how do I create relationships and have a healthy body and a healthy mind? Well, to me, I love hiking because that checks off literally every single thing that I want in my life. You know, I love to be outside. I love the mountains in Arizona. I love the vitamin D and the sunshine and the respite from noise and the beauty of being in nature. And I'm also getting exercise. And if we're, you know, has an opportunity to have conversations, create conversations and talk, or, you know, sometimes we do really long hikes. So it could be several hours and we can talk some of it. We can listen to a book. We'll share headphones, listen to the same book. And so I love things that accomplish like pretty much everything all at once. I can be done with it. No, move on with life. No, get back to the rat race. No, I love hiking. And so I thought, okay, well, let's set a big goal for the year to hike. What seems like a big goal? And I was like, I don't know, if we just hike every week, you know, six-ish miles, like a normal hike, it's 5 or 6 miles or whatever. What is that times 52? So it's like roughly 300. Okay, great. 300, got it. And so that goal helped to make the decision every Sunday. It wasn't an option. What are we going to do today? It's what hike are we going to do today? So it automatically made me do what's best for my mind, body, spirit relationship to get my butt out of bed, because in the summer you have to go really early. Well, what happened in May was that we almost got bit by a snake, a rattlesnake. And that was scary. There's no cell service on this hike. It's an hour away from the nearest hospital. I would have died. And I didn't almost step on it. We passed my friend Chelsea and it jumped out at her and she missed it by like 2 inches. And so she almost died, but I was right there. I just walked right past him and I didn't see him. The snake, huge freaking rattlesnake. So I totally freaked out and I'm like, that's not worth dying over. And I told myself that hiking was not important right now because there are snakes out there and I don't want to take the risk. And I didn't hike for probably 2 months. And I was looking at my goal and I'm like, it's 300. I want to hit 300. What do I need to do right now to hit 300? I don't want to go out. I don't want to get bit by a snake. I was so afraid. And then God sent this guy to the dealership one day who runs Bass Pro Shops. And he said, I hike out at Santan Mountains because it's really wide. And so even though it's snake season, there's too much area. They like to be in a bush on the side. They hide in the bushes on the side of the trail. So if the trail is this wide, they get you. And if it's, 12 feet wide, they stay out there. There's a lot of people, you have plenty of room. No matter how many thousands of people are out there, you're not really in anybody's way. And the snakes, I never see snakes. I was like, thank you, God, for giving me Santan Mountains. Stupid, right? But because I had that, I want to hit 300 because those check off all of my boxes of what I want to create. Then me taking that pause, that doesn't make me feel good. I don't like taking that pause, even though I'm tired and it snakes and I had all the excuses in the whole world. It's focusing on those excuses instead of what you really want to create. And so we found a new place. It has wide, and we knew that all you need to do is now we were behind. So now we knew we needed to do, I think the number was like 10. Well, guess what? 10 miles is a lot. It takes a lot, and your legs will be jello the next day. So we'll just do Saturdays and Sundays. So we got to get up early. What do you need to do to get that? Get up at 5 or 4, depending on the day. So he can go to work on Saturday. So what is the most important thing? I want to get to 300. And tomorrow we're at 298 today. And we only did 3.5 because I wanted to start this on time and I was running late. And so hiking is a goal. That's not the goal, but that is the way. Those are the actions I can personally take to get me towards, I want to live to be 95, 100. I want to be at my great-grandchildren's, weddings. I want to be present. I want my brain to work, and I've got to exercise all of those things. And so hiking is what I love to do. Maybe it's just go for a walk. Everybody, you can determine what it is that you like to do. That micro action gets you to the macro goal, gets you to your lifetime purpose and your lifetime goal. My lifetime goal is not to hike as many miles as I can. Hiking delivers to me the joy and the peace and the connection and the exercise and the body. I feel so good with it. At the end of my life, I'm not going to say, oh, I only hiked 2,000 miles or 5,000, I don't know, probably 100,000 by the time we get to 95, if we make it. And that number is not what's important, but having that micro goal with the action I can take to get me to where I want to be. It makes me spend time, in the car. It takes 30 minutes there and back. So sometimes we'll talk on the way there, play music on the way back. It's all of the things that are important to me that get me to be better. And that's the action I can take. And every single thing that we want to create, we can have one action, one little baby, tiny, tiny step. But I do want to talk about the home because Bruce was a rock star a couple weeks ago. And do you mind just sharing what you don't have to share all the details, just like what you did, and you had a person coming over, and then what happened? You don't have to.
And this is actually kind of weird because this has been the first time in 9 years of being divorced that a woman ever come to my actual house. I was always driving to their places or whatever. And so it's kind of funny because I put out on Facebook, I couldn't find somebody to clean my house. I put on Facebook, and does anybody know anybody to clean your house? And of course, my close married friends, women, messaged me and said, why are you having somebody over? They knew exactly what the deal was. They knew exactly what the deal was. And so, yeah, I did all kinds of crazy stuff that I had my house clean. I had my carpets cleaned. I had my covers to my couch cleaned. I threw away the crap in my backyard. I went to the dump twice. I had the flooring in my bathroom replaced. I bought new blankets and everything for my bed. Bunch of other stuff. I can't remember the other stuff I did. Turns out she didn't even come over. It turned out to be something else, but it worked out perfect. My life is awesome, man. It's like, I bought new speakers for my sound system. I've been waiting 3 years to do. So I had the guy come over, and I think I spent about $1,300 getting ready.
But and how does it feel now when you walk in the front door?
Oh my gosh, man. It's like, it's awesome. It's totally awesome. I still got a lot of work to do, but it's totally awesome. And I got my sound system all set up like I should have a long time ago. Now it's just incredible.
It's amazing. So I know my little sister, Rachel, our little sister, she said after she was listening to that part or reading that part in my book, she decided that, okay, she's going to I really want to create more harmony, but she's raising 4 kids under the age of 6. When are you ever going to get any harmony? So break it down to a small quantifiable goal. That's why I love it. I want to be a good mom. Okay. Well, what makes me frustrated is that the table, this is her talking, the table is always a mess. There's just junk everywhere, all their crafts, all their food everywhere. We all know that. We all have had kitchen tables like that. And so she's like, okay, so I'm just going to do that. One little teeny tiny small quantifiable goal is going to be to just clear off that table. That's it. one little thing she can do that you have at least one area of order in your house when you're raising 4 kids under 6. And it's totally doable. And she did feel the difference. She did feel a little bit better because she did that one thing. And so you can't quantify, I want to have a great relationship. How do you know when you get there? Hi, Renata. You can't quantify, I want to I want to be a good mom, So what do good moms do? What are the actions that you can take to feel like, okay, I did, without anybody else's validation, I did okay. I'm doing okay. And if we quantify those little teeny tiny things, they make a big difference. So you have this main purpose and your main goal in life to be a good mom, good wife, good husband, have great relationships, to have great memories. Then what can I do? Well, sometimes I do like a year. Okay, what am I going to do this year? Okay, so this year, it also breaks down to one thing I can do today. And it can make a huge difference. Another thing that Sam, who's recording, he's my producer for my audiobook. And I don't know if you saw this, but Renata is my really good friend and nutrition coach and food blogger and mom and wife and extraordinaire. She helped me create the additional bonus tracks that are going to be included in my audiobook. So the audiobook really gives you the opportunity to just, it's my audiobook, I can do whatever I want. But to me, I thought, no, you just read the manuscript in the studio and then that's it. It's just for people who don't like to read physical books. Okay. And then I was listening to David Goggins' books, and he has an interview in between each chapter. And I loved it. I was like, my mind exploded again. And I was like, this is so great, because when you print a book and then you go into the studio and record it, all I do ever since May 16th of this year, when it released, dang it, I should have talked about that. Oh, I forgot that story. Oh, I should have said this, like this little thing, I could have said that better. Oh, like all of these things I wish I would do differently, or just forgot, or didn't think of that, or, oh, I forgot to tell that. And so it gives you the opportunity. So I asked Renata to help me in that, because she's also, in addition to my friend and being amazing, she's also one of my biggest supporters. And so if you want any tips about, finding foods that nourish your body and being healthy and creating more health, and you've got to go follow her on Instagram, Nourish with Renata. And Renata, you're just in time. We're done.
Best book club ever. Yay.
You're on a winning streak. Thank you. Does anybody have anything they wanted to add? Anything, any 2 cents before we wrap it up? Renata, what did you get out of this?
Well, first of all, thank you for the massive shout out. That's what I got out of it. I was like, I'm just going to keep coming if you just promote me. Like, you're my marketing person. That would be great.
Yeah. Anyone else have anything?
Get the audiobook when it comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah. You talk about how the habits are, once you form the habits, and your excellence plan is on autopilot, right? So it was really interesting, because I was at the dentist office reading about, it was like Jennifer Aniston or somebody else, and it's like, she said something in her little interview about how, she said, you know what, I don't do diet, I don't restrict myself, nothing is off limits for me anymore as far as food goes, and I don't do any of that. I don't have any restrictions. And I automatically thought, yeah, that's because you've been practicing, and it's already a habit. Like what she's eating, how she's performing. I mean, I know she does yoga and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, that's because she already has all of her health stuff on autopilot. That's why she doesn't have any restrictions, because she doesn't need any. Her body, she's already doing it. So yeah, I like, I like the autopilot and the small quantifiable goals. It's so easy to just get overwhelmed in all the areas of your life, because it seems like you're just trying to keep your head above water, but I love just do one little small thing in one corner of your house, whatever you're working on. I liked it. Thanks, Karen.
Thank you so much. That's so true, because you don't even think about it anymore. She probably doesn't even know what her habits are.
No, she doesn't. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Look at her skin and her hair and her,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
seriously.
Literally,
Yeah.
she's doing every single thing that you could do.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
no way she could look like that and not take care of her skin, health, body
Yeah.
every single day.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
there is no other way. So it's just so cool to even think about that. And she's like 50 something now. And to be able to just keep making movies and perform. I mean, just doing the arduous work of actually making movies is extremely difficult and strenuous on your body. You have to have a lot of energy for that. So I love that, because if the sooner we can get to automated, like if in general it takes about 66 days to create a habit, well, actually in that study, some people created a habit in 14, some people created a habit in 240. So that's the average in this study, this one study that I read about and came up with that number. A lot of people quote that study. The sooner we can get to 66, then the easier it is. And then you forget, like when you're writing down your goals every day, if you already got in the habit of just going to do your walk every day or your run every day or whatever it is that you love to do, your exercise in whenever you want to do it, the sooner you get to 66, it's not a goal anymore.
Right.
It's just, that's your habit. You're like, okay, now I can work on something else. I can really put my focus into, my energy into this next thing I've been doing, I'm really wanting to do. All those things that you create for your home and those projects that you do, they're ridiculous. It takes so much time and creativity and energy. So you really want to create something new or start something new, and you just get in that habit of whatever is good for you. And seriously, I mean, I got so sick of green smoothies, like the regular green smoothie girl, I'm starving in like 5 minutes. It's like just a bunch of vegetables and fruit. That doesn't work for me. And then I just started doing protein shakes every day. And after a while, I don't even want to eat them anymore. It's just disgusting. It's the same crap every day. I'm so tired of it. And so here comes Renata again. I'm sorry. I am. My full-time job is to be Renata's publicist, I guess. It's not hard, because she's making these meal plans for us so that we can keep on track for the holidays. And so you don't get out of your good habits. And she's got different smoothies. This one's mango, banana, spinach. It's ridiculous. And vanilla protein powder. It's so good. And I don't feel like, another green smoothie or gross. I'm like, every morning we're like, which one are you going to make today? John's like, which one are you going to make? Are you going to make the mango? Are you going to make the blueberry? It's so good. Like, I can't wait to have it. So any of those little things that you can help, like disrupt your cycle, but like get into that thing. We were running late. It was 9:40. I really wanted to get in early, go through my notes, get on, get set up, make sure I'm on before 10, And I was like, hey, do you want a shake? And he's like, oh yeah. I was like, okay, run downstairs, put it all in the blender, because it's a habit now. So the earlier we can get to where it's just a habit, then we can really work on, shifting the things the next thing, right? The next thing we want to work on. It's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anyone else before we wrap up and get back to our insanity Saturdays? Mine's easy. The kids aren't even here and John's gone, so I'll just be working with no one making any noise. It's weird. So weird.
That is weird.
Well, thank you so much, everybody. Have a beautiful day. Thank you for being here, and
thank you, Karen.
Take time out of your day. Love you guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.